Nice computer. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Afternoon at this point.
Yes, sir. Uh, so let's get after it. Today we're gonna do like a listen through of our most recent EP, Fantastic Invasion. We kind of want to go song by song and spend a couple minutes talking about the backstory of the song, some any any fun facts or anything that we feel is relevant or cool in the production process of that song. All of the above. We're gonna go into depth. We're gonna tear these songs apart, and we just want to share it with you guys, and hopefully you guys find it interesting because we really love doing all this stuff and creating these songs, and so much of it goes unseen just by listening to it. And then after each discussion of each song, we're going to listen through that specific song and kind of stop and go, point out some cool moments or some of our favorite stuff in that song, and you're gonna get to see us kind of geek out a little bit because we love our music. We think it's dope. We think it's a lot of fun to listen to, and hopefully you agree if you're watching this. Moving on.
Yeah.
Up next, we got "Don't Cross the Line."
Talk about funk.
Talk about. Let's talk about funk. All right. No, I mean this is one of our older songs, actually, right? I mean, when did we write
Yeah,
this? Back in
this was supposed to be on the
high
first
school?
EP.
Hmm?
This was supposed to be on the first EP, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one that we talked about being on the first EP. That and Wildflower was kind of they were runner-ups for the other EP, and we finally got in there to do them now. And I think, thank God we did.
Yeah.
We waited on these because they they fit in this album a little better, I think.
Especially the island too, because that was one we've had in the back pocket for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the island is so much better now that we're all better
Yeah.
musicians for sure. Um, so don't cross the line. I don't 100% remember when we wrote this. Um, I kind of had the
Or junior
already, but
year.
didn't um I didn't have any like chords or anything written out for it. This was kind of like a no man's land situation, right? Like Riley kind of, well, everyone kind of came together to create the groove on this, and I had these lyrics already written out, so I just threw them over it, and it ended up working out. Um,
Hmm.
Made some changes to the lyrics to fit the form a bit better, and the tune speaks for itself. Shane went crazy on the
Yeah.
production for this song. He really did. There was we when quarantine hit the like when COVID really started affecting the U.S. and we all got sent home for schools. We started having like weekly or bi-weekly meetings over Zoom and just to sit in and see what Shane was working on with the songs and kind of he had a lot of input from us regularly, and I think he got not sick of, but like we kind of realized like, well, sending a bunch of files back and forth and then like adding a bunch of comments in a Word doc, it's all right, it's fun, but like we could do that and meet and do some live mixing with him and give him our input live. And I think it shows in the production that like we had a lot of input into how it was mixed, and Shane still he went crazy. But I remember one meeting where he said like, yeah, I went a little crazy with "Don't Cross the Line." Uh, just trust me here. Like, see if you guys like it. Obviously, I can tone things back if you guys want. And we listened to him. We're like, dude, what the heck? Like,
Wasn't that Wildflower? Wasn't that the intro of Wildflower?
Well, that as well.
as
Yeah.
well. But
Okay.
one week with "Don't Cross the Line" where he came to us and he's like, I got a little heavy handed on the production side of things, and I want to see what you guys think. I showed it to my some of my roommates. Really, they thought it was cool, um, and the vocals sounded like pretty like he did a lot to the vocals for production and stuff. It speaks for itself. But I remember listening to it that specific time and being like floored at the work he had done. Um, Shane's crazy. Love that guy. Um,
Yeah, this one came out really great.
It came a long way from
Very, yeah,
Inception.
yes,
very, very impressed on how it
when
came out.
like when we've played this live before, it doesn't sound like this. It will now because we figured out a lot of stuff that we kind of like in the tune.
Oh,
Uh,
minus a B3 with a Leslie.
yeah.
You'll
um,
hear that later.
there's a lot of like fun things that we just decided while we were in the studio, like, oh, add some harmonies here because the tune's kind of simple. or we want to
Yes.
build it in this way. We want to add this layer of instruments to help get to the climax of the song, or we got to be very, very creative in how we recorded this. So yeah, let's get into it. Bass.
So many questions, but the answer's always no. Oh, who are you to ask? And who am I to tell? And I wish that I still cared. Oh, I'm not ashamed that I don't. It was I who drew it. It was I who drew it. Keep there and I'll keep here. Keep there and I'll keep here. Cross the line, oh no. Don't cross the line. Cross the line, oh no. Don't cross it, yeah. Cross the line, oh no. Don't cross it.
God. Like I remember hearing that chorus for the first time when Shane like really threw some heavy phasers on the guitar and panned it like around, so I mean we all like lost our minds. We thought it was so cool and fun to listen to.
Yeah,
I took
he
that idea from the Tame Impala record, the first Tame Impala record. I remember there was this really like expansive phaser on the guitars, and it's just like this really cool swirling effect. I was like, can you do that on this chorus? And like, don't even like, I'm not even concerned about like the chord itself. I just want the effect. And I remember he had this little, I don't know what the effect was called. Oh, it was called Ambio, and he literally just took the track and he just dragged it so the pan was like this. It was like a semicircle rather than like going back and forth. So like when you put headphones on, it sounds like it's literally going behind your head, which is a really cool effect.
Yeah, like the chorus of the song's fun. This we always joked around with Colin in the studio on this one because he's like lurking. We called him a lurker. Like listen to the stuff that he's doing on what did he record this on? Just like an electric keyboard sound.
Yeah.
But it's fun to listen to. It's kind of in the back and he's creeping. We gave him a lot of crap for it, but it sounds awesome. I remember
Yeah.
those bass licks at the beginning. Riley was like, I don't like the way they sound. Get 'em out." The beginning's boring without them. Yeah,
Right.
and they sound cool. They sound fun.
Shane really took all of our ideas and ran with them. That chorus, so I recorded this on that bass right there, the yellow one. That's a 5-string. So I go down in that chorus to a low D, and that's kind of getting towards the bottom of like a usable range in a recording without like clipping, uh, the mics and stuff. And I recorded it with an envelope filter. And I remember one
Wow.
day, yeah, I remember one day we came back in the studio, and this is when we were still in there, and he was doing some like preemptive mixing and stuff. And all of a sudden, my bass is like distorted and compressed and all this stuff. And I was like, I didn't record this with distortion, did I? And he's like, I think you did. So he really he's a bass player himself, so he kind of took the tone into his own hands. But he did a super great job. If you listen to especially with headphones on, if you listen to this chorus with headphones on, you hear that bass. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, if you're not listening to this with headphones on, get some headphones on.
Yeah, please.
That's what it's made for. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Shane's a monster bass player in his own right. He's crazy to listen to. Um, very talented guy, and like Riley said, he knows his way around like a really good bass tone when he's recording, and you can hear it throughout the album. But I think it really shines on this song.
Yeah, even in the verses too, when it's just plain bass. I mean, it sounds awesome, and I'm pretty sure we did this DI. So
Mm-hmm.
he took that tone and shaped it himself, basically. So
Moving on.
Cross the line, oh no, don't cross it, yeah. You cannot know what it's like.
Yeah, that was.
That was fun.
That's one of those moments that I was talking about earlier where we were in the studio and we did a lot of this on vocal day tracking where it was like we can do more there. Let's change it up. Um, even that stop was kind of another part of the creative process that we didn't get to until later on after gigging with this song a couple times. We were like, this song needs something else. So we'll throw in some stops in this verse, and it was really fun. And then we were like, oh, we can make these stops a little cooler when we were in the studio. So I threw some just harmonies on top, layering. And I was like, how dense, how freaking dense can I make this chord? All right, and I think we got a little off the handle.
I think we put every note in the scale there.
Was
at
that the
point.
one? Was that the one? Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point for each stop, you can kind of hear him builds like a little more each time. You couldn't, you wouldn't, you couldn't, you cannot know. Like each one gets a little bigger harmonically, and at one point on the last one, we had like literally all like 12 notes of the scale or something like that. It was we blew it out of proportion. And we're like, all right, we'll draw it back later. And
That was fun though. That was very.
it was fun though. It was fun. And now it sounds cool. It sounds like so much fun to listen. You know, you get to that point, you're like, ooh, all right. Like it's, you know, it stands out from the groove a little more.
Yeah, there's that funk.
Yeah, there's that funk. More funk, please.
It was I who drew it. It was I who drew it. Keep there and I'll keep here. Keep there.
I love those chords. The what's that chord you threw in there? That came in later.
I was playing an A minor 9 on that.
Yeah, I mean that came in like late in the mixing process. I remember.
Very.
And I remember playing this. Do you still have that track somewhere?
Yeah.
In through all the Pro Tools sessions, like, is this what you mean? Like, you're like, yeah, throw that on there. It reminds me of like Rage. It reminds me of like The Killers. Like, it's such a cool sound. Changes up the harmonic structure of the song from just being that really standard. Right? It's like a couple chords over that one repeating bass riff.
Yeah, it's like a Dorian vamp.
Yeah, and that chord comes in there in the second verse after the stops, and you're like, oh, okay, you know, it's sick. It's really sick. Getting into the next chorus, I believe.
And I'll keep here. Cross the line, oh no. Don't cross the line. Yeah, cross the line, oh no. Don't cross it. Yeah. Cross the line, oh no. Don't cross the line. Ooh, cross the line, oh no. Don't cross it.
The chorus didn't used to have like harmonies either on it. That's another thing that like we kind of came up with on vocal day, and I'm so glad we did. Like now, I don't even know which one is like the melody I used to sing for like live shows, but it's just like 2 tracks of myself singing in harmony for the chorus, and it sounds so much better. It sounds so much cooler, and it gives the chorus like some more depth. But that was really cool when we added that. We're like, yeah, that should be in every chorus. I think I did it just for one at one point. We're like, nah, it adds too much to leave out.
There's that distortion that we were talking about earlier.
Oh no, don't cross the line. Oh no, don't cross the line. Oh no, don't. Oh no, don't.
Right there. I kept hearing like an envelope filter on something on like beats 2 and 4, and I was the only one who heard it. And I don't know what was causing it, but I was like, Shane, why don't you just throw one on the snare drum? And he did, and I felt like it was really like driving that bass riff a little more too. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny because I was like, "Oh, do you guys hear that?" And everyone was like, "No." I was like, "Well, now you're going to."
Yeah, there were a couple moments like that throughout the whole recording process where, especially with vocals, I'm like, no, that note is wrong. Like something's off, and you guys are like, oh, I don't really notice it that much, or like, I guess maybe a little bit, but not really, or like, you know, Dan was like, no, there's something wrong with the guitar here. Like we got it out. Where is it? What's wrong? And like everyone else is like, I don't hear it. It sounds fine to me. And we had a lot of moments. Some of them are still in there. It never got resolved. Some of them we did end up hunting him down, or Shane sniffed him out.
Went like track by track on some of that stuff, just looking for one wrong note that only one person can hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. I think honestly we were at the point we were getting a little sick of each other about it. It's like, come on, dude, just try. Like it's probably fine. Because only, you know, when you get to that point where we're trying to just perfect all these songs and perfect the mixes, and yeah, like it was almost just infuriating when one person, the only person, is like claiming to hear something wrong, and you don't. And, yeah, that was crazy. Moving on.
No, don't cross the line. Oh no, don't cross the line. Oh no, don't. Oh no, don't. Hey, oh no, don't cross the line. Oh no, don't cross the line. Oh no, don't cross the line.
Got something to say there, Burns?
Well, that was another thing we added after the fact, that little Dorian riff, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah. Let's take I can listen to that again.
That was added like a week before we went in the studio or something like that.
Yeah, when we were rehearsing to get in,
Yeah.
the studio, we were like, the climax needs something. It's very like Rush-esque. Yeah, that wasn't there before. It was originally just a stop, and we're like, yeah, it needs something.
And it's a bar of 7 now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we add we in that rehearsal, I remember now, like it was like try it as a bar 7. No, I don't like that. Let's take that extra beat out. Okay, make it a bar 6. No, all right, go back to 8. Like just do the standard 4 as we were before. No, we're going back to like we kept to just go like, well, what if we try that? You know, what if we try adding a beat? What if we try taking away beat? Like, what if we come in on the and of 2 there? It's like we just we spent probably an hour just trying out different combinations of that
Yeah.
that stop into the climax, and it was also like a pretty last minute decision there too to have Colin go in and do the B3. We were lucky he was free that day to get into Subcat.
Yeah.
He hopped on the B3, and you'll hear him go crazy here for the last what is it, minute of the song, minute and a half of the song. He goes crazy on the organ here, and he comes in right here at this break, after that Dorian scale, like, you know, and it's so fun to listen to. So listen for that. I mean, come on, dude. Like, Colin like only had the bass tracks and the electric piano sound that he recorded to listen to, and the guitar solo, and the drum tracks, and he got in there with the Hammond, the B3, and he just followed everything.
He followed me.
Yeah, he
on that one riff.
Heard what you were doing with that solo, and went right along with it, and it's so crazy, like so cool to listen to. Also, like Dan's soloing here is insane. It's so fun.
Oh, thanks.
Very fits the song so well, and again, like it just reflects our improvement as musicians. Like if you go back and listen to some of the soloing that happened on the first album versus now, like it's not to say that was bad. Like it was good, but like you can really see our progress. Dan's improved as a player a ton. We've all improved as musicians a ton. But the soloing in this guitar solo is so cool, and the tone is just incredible.
I think when I was describing the tone I wanted to Shane, I used the word Velcro.
Really?
That's how scratchy I wanted it.
Yeah, well, it shines through, dude.
Yeah.
enjoy so much at the end of these songs.
Yeah. Again, another part of this song where we kind of said like, this song's simple. It's cool. It's a groove,
That was us just having fun.
but we need more. Yeah, let's have some fun with it. And we got really creative. On vocal day too, like in there, we added all that me screaming hey. I was like, yeah, I'll just sing with the guitars playing there. It'll add another layer, okay? And then, well, I'll just hold the note so like you hear the same like layers and the harmonies that are happening within the guitar. And then at the end there, I think it's just like parallel something following the power chords that are happening, and that it just builds up to the end. And Colin like smacking down on the B3 to get that cool wavy sound effect. I wasn't there that day, but you guys were. Tell us a little bit about that. I remember he was like, "You guys really want that in there?" Like,
Yeah, we told him just go like this across the keyboard and just keep going up until the song is over.
Yeah, just like without this huge swell to build up. Like, don't really play any notes or any lines. Just
Yeah.
like make noise. And I remember he was like, after he did it, we were like, "Oh my god, this is like the sickest thing we've ever done." And he's like, "I felt so stupid doing that."
yeah, and it sounds so cool though. I mean, again, he just follows the harmony in there, and like to the climax, and then he starts like just banging on the B3, and that instrument makes such a cool like whooshing sound effect when you do that. And
With the Leslie.
yeah, you can hear it, and you can hear it in the mix, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
He's this incredible piano player, and we were like, Colin, just take your elbows and go like this across the keyboard.
So
And
that
then,
don't
that note that Nate screams out at the end. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah.
don't. All right, that was like an hour on vocal day. Come on, Nate, just like belt a, what is it, like an A?
It's a high A. Yeah.
It's up there. And I was like vocally exhausted. This was probably one of the last ones that we got to in the day, and I was like, I don't have it in me. And so we just tried so many times, and of course, you get those situations where Shane hits record and you try at it, like, and your voice cracks, and then like he's like, all right, just we'll try again in a minute, and then I'm like trying to do it, and then I actually hit it while he's not recording, and it was infuriating. It took us way too long.
But at one point, Shane just hit record at the end of the song, and he said, "Just do it, right?" And he
Yeah,
just left. We just left him in the box for about 15 minutes, listening to him scream.
Yeah, and it's just for that 1 second of you can barely hear me like screaming the high A at the end right after like everything else out. But it's cool. And I remember I was like, ugh, that's kind of tacky. You guys really want that in there? And you insisted.
Yes.
All right, so
And,
that across the
Well, I'll talk about one last thing that we
Yeah.
added about a week before we went to the studio. Is that double time there that Greg
Oh
did the
yes,
drums.
debating how many times should we repeat the
Yeah.
I guess the outro, which is that phrase the guitar comes in with after his solo. We were like, do we want to do 4? Well, it kind of fizzles out. Do we want to do 3? 2 feels pretty short, feels a little terse of an ending for the song. And we are like, well, we'll do what do we end up with, 3 or 4? And then
It's
the last
three.
the last
3, and the last one is double time.
is and Mr. Rono just took it and it's like, yeah, this is groovy, and it worked out well. It builds
Yeah, that made the ending of the song, I think.
for sure.
All right, moving
Across the
on.
line.
Moving on.
Moving right on. Up next, we got Wildflower.